Hey everybody, this is Captain Frugal reporting for duty, giving you my weekly comic book review. So sit back and enjoy. Alright everybody, for those of you that know the drill, I go over a bunch of comic books for the week that I chose to read. Now I didn't have time to read everything, so if I missed something you think I should have read, let me know in the comments below. Also, you may disagree with me on some of my choices. If that's the case, that's alright. Let me know below. Let's just try to keep it civil. My goal is to bring back the old schoolyard days, where we would be in discussing what hero could beat who or what comic book was good and not. And I come armed with my trusty notes, so you'll hear the paper rattle because I do it a little bit old school. I do my grading on a scale of 0 through 10, 7 being average as a 70%. So I'm using schoolyard grading. But that's not all. I also use the League of Comics Geeks to give you other people's views as well as a brief overview of the comic book as well. So let's jump right in. Hey fans, welcome back to my weekly comic book review. Before we get into it, I know the stock market has been going like crazy up and down, but let me give you a little bit of advice, okay? Just wait it out, be patient, stay the course. Keep investing in your 401k. Dollar cost averaging will be your friend. Don't make short-term fearful decisions for long-term things. I know seeing all that red can be scary, but don't let it get to you. All right, with that said, let's talk about Daredevil number 20. On League of Comics Geeks, currently it is at 149 ratings with a 3.6 score, and I gave it a 7.5, so not bad either. Writer Salman Ahmed and penciler Jose Luis Soros Pinto. Ooh, tough one to say. Anyway, we have an all-new story arc here, and an all-new enemy, maybe? Yeah, after harrowing events of Daredevil 19 that, landed with a thud and not many people cared about, Matt Murdock is more alone than ever before. Yep, he's all, he's been shunned by his ex-Elektra. She's not giving it to him, but he still managed to find some comfort, and in other words, he's digging into something else. Yeah, he doesn't really love her, but he's spending time with her anyway. Yeah, that tends to be a vice for Daredevil. Now, some people, with Christianity and say, we can't do it, you're not supposed to do that. Daredevil knows that. Matt knows that. This is a struggle that Daredevil has had with the flesh for a long time. And that's an interesting dynamic because that's one of the things I hate seeing when people are arguing and they try to throw somebody's Christianity and belief in God in their face. Well, you've sinned and done this. Yeah, we know. We're all sinners. Every human is a sinner. The goal is to recognize that and do better, and to hopefully not do that anymore. So this has some good interior art in this issue too. The cover I didn't care for very much. I don't think this really is very gripping. There is some alternate covers that are okay, but nothing really that spectacular here. So as I was mentioning before, Daredevil Matt Murdock is having grown-up fun, and even though this is a issue with Daredevil that seems a little too casual of talk with that for me, for the character. I'd like to know your thoughts on that. I'm a little conflicted there. And, Matt brings out the black armored suit again, and I like that suit, actually. Do you like that suit? I always found that one was pretty cool. And so with that said, there's people missing from this one particular rental complex. People keep coming missing from it. And so why is that? And we get more information at the end, and it's sort of gross. Yeah, it's sort of gross. So anyway, I gave this book 7.5. What are some other people saying? Well, let's find a 3-star rating here. It says, so I read Zdarsky's run and caught up on this era in one big binge, Elektra minis included. This book isn't the worst, but isn't offensive, but it's offensively mediocre. A 19-issue story arc that moves slowly and underutilizes its supporting cast so much as to not be a disappointment after sublime writing of Zdarsky. All right, I'm going to skip to another one here. Here we go. We're going to go one that's pretty high one here with a 4-star review. I'm just reading parts of them. This run is to me what King Wonder Woman is, and I just don't get the hate. Okay, now it's not perfect. I feel like we need an issue to help establish or reestablish Nala and Matt. I do wish there was more of a moment with Matt going with the black suit, which looks dope. Don't at me. You know what? I agree with you. I like that too. So there we go. Some positive reviews and looks at this. I don't see any really that are... Oh, here we go. Here's a 2-star. Please take the suit off. Wow, that person doesn't like the suit at all. Okay, so that shows not everybody is liking that. Let's go green, you know, because it's not easy being green. With the Incredible Hulk number 24, it has 127 ratings with a 4 rating, very positive. And I gave the book a strong, decent 7.4. Yeah, not so bad. The writer's Philip Kennedy Johnson, the artist is Kev Walker. We have Muscle versus Magic, yeah. So Bruce Banner and Charlie get to the Sanctum, Doctor Strange, Sanctum Sanctorum. I can't talk today. And they get tricked. Yep. And then calamity ensues. So pretty cool issue, actually. I like the cover of this one, by the way. I thought it's a pretty slick cover. I don't care for the alternate covers very much for this one, but the standard cover I think is pretty good. The Hulk displays, though, in this, how he has the best healing factor in Marvel. Yeah, I always hear people, who is it? Wolverine. People underestimate how Hulk's healing factor is. So you consider his strength, his power, his increasing strength as he gets mad. His inability to really take him out was really awesome because Bruce gets 8. He gets 8 in this issue. He gets trapped in a room where there's no Gamma. So as Bruce, he has to fight these wolf kind of things. They eat him up. They leave. And when they leave, the Gamma is no longer restricted. And so Hulk comes and just, it's crazy. So it's very good. The last page of this is interesting too. Are we gonna get another classic Thor versus Hulk battle? I don't know. Let's check really quickly on somebody else's views here. I'm seeing a lot of really high marks. I'm gonna go for one of the lower ones, which is still 3.5. Clea's fate seems unclear. Is she dead? And why are we having another Hulk vs. Thor? Now, see, they don't like the fact we're having Hulk vs. Thor. I love Hulk vs. Thor, just like Hulk vs. Hercules. I think we should get more of those too. Let's counter it with a 4-star. That was really cool. The art could have been better, but what was here did the job pretty well. I do hope that Clea is not taken off the board like that in any permanent capacity, as I didn't get exactly what her status is with the dialogue. Cool moments for Hulk and Charlie. Super excited for next month. Let's be honest, she's not gone. If you think she's gone, come on, Marvel is not going to take out a female hero. I mean, Marvel's so goofy right now. That's just not going to happen. So no fear there, people. Don't fear that at all. Now, this next book, I have a big difference with, I guess, and that's the Ultimates issue number 11 with a 651 rating, so still selling well. Very positive 4.0 score from the League of Comics Geeks, and I gave this book a 6. Boy, is my opinion different on this one. Woo, writer's Den's camp, artist is Juan Ferrari. In the war for Asgard, a new hero approaches. It says time to topple another of the Maker's dominoes, removing Loki from his seat of power in Asgard. Thor, Sif, and She-Hulk journey into mystery for blood, for glory, and for rebellion. Well, that's not exactly what you get here. You get a building of what's going on in Asgard. And I get it. Okay, I understand this. But the thing is this, they're setting the scene in this issue and building it up, but boy, does it go too long. It is so slow. There's decent art, but this is a really long-winded, boring issue. I think the writer's trying to be witty and flex his writing skills with everything rhyming and things, but I just don't get it. It was not for me. So I'm going to go with another negative review and a highly positive to see what we get as differences here. Here's a 2-star review, one that leads more into my thought of this. I'm a massive Camp Glazer, but I've been really let down by this issue. The biggest issue is the prose. I'm far from an expert, but even I can tell Camp attempted an epic poetry and it's a failure. See, that's what I thought. He was trying to be witty, write this great poetic thing, and it just felt like a rock. He is trying some cool things. Alliteration is used as an allusion to the epics of Old Norse and Old English origin, though his use of it is strangely inconsistent. Boy, do I agree. So yeah, I thought he was just trying too hard. I won't want to continue because that one's pretty negative, but that pretty much on the same points that I mentioned already. So let's do something that's counter to that. Let's give a 5-star review. Okay. This might be the most impressive issue of the series yet, which is saying something. Den's Camp forms a very detailed and fairly complex story with various layers, tackling a variety of real issues while making it all wonderfully written poem that runs through the entire issue. I found it to be very well written and suitably complex without being alienating. So see, this person loved that aspect of it where I thought it was poorly done. Every page is a splash page. Yeah, and it goes on, blah, blah. This literally does feel like such a unique Asgardian myth. You know what? I'll give him that. Yeah, it gives a little bit of something different, and that's probably what they were trying to do. The last bit where we go back to the Earth, or Midgard you can call it, and catch up with Tony was also wonderful. I love that Camp intertwined Tony's adolescence as a lad becoming a man, and thus tied the metaphor of the infinity to a woman tempting him. Just really engaging in storytelling. This is definitely a top 3 issue for me. You know what? I would love to know, what is your thoughts? I said this was a bottom issue, and a lot of more people are saying it's a great issue, that, hey, I am wrong in this one. So I would love to hear your thoughts. Are you staying with me on this wasn't that good? It was overrated? If not, I understand. Hey guys, today's video is sponsored by My Wallet. Yeah, I'm not trying to push any kind of wallet or pimp any wallet out. What I mean is it's sponsored by my personal wallet and the cash that comes out of it to pay for these things. If you want to help with this, you can hit like, subscribe, that notification bell. Those are great ways to get started. But if you find yourself in a position where you can help the channel more, we have a Patreon and a subscribe star down below that you can click on those links. And for as little as $1 a month, you'll have special videos and things to just you, music that you can get. Or maybe if you wanted to, a one-time donation just to help out, we have a Streamlabs link down below. Or we also have, if you go to the Patreon shop, you could buy a song for like $3. I wish I could put them a little lower, but that's the minimum they allow for that. So there's lots of options. Sometimes you might even see an Amazon link. If you want to buy anything through Amazon, click on my link first, then go through there. That'll give me a couple pennies possibly that way too as well. So there's lots of ways you can help out the channel, because without you, it would not be possible. So thank you everybody. And let's get back to the video. The next one, let's shift gears and go into Transformers number 19 with 293 ratings with a 4.1 score on League of Comics Geeks, making it very positive. And you know what? I had positive thoughts of this as well. I gave the book a 7.5. Yes, the writer Daniel Warren Johnson's doing a great job on this series so far. And artist Ludo Little Buddy, which I just completely butchered. What happened to Megatron? Well, you're going to find out. This issue is going to tell us what's been going on with Megatron. Yeah. Megatron faces a trial. And boy, not a simple trial. A lot of trials. Decent art in this book. And really, this is a great one for anybody that's a Megatron fan. I'm actually not a huge Megatron fan, but this made me more interested in the character. And boy, the regular cover's okay, but if you like to look at different covers, boy, there's some fantastic covers for this particular issue. But you know what? Let's look at some other people's reviews here to get a different spin. Since I gave this one such a high score, I'm going to give you somebody who gave it a 1 star. Let's look at this. What the F was the point of this issue? The promise is that it would give us a backstory of Megatron, and it barely did at all. It didn't explain his motivations or his ideology. It still don't have an inkling of what the Autobots and Decepticons are fighting. Of why, not what. Sorry. So you see they have a problem there. I think they're expecting too much out of a short issue here, but maybe it's just me. So they're not a fan of that. He's kidnapped by aliens, ones that I don't know, by the way. Well, maybe then you don't know the Transformers series very much, because you should recognize these aliens. They were in the later generations of the original cartoon and the movie. So this person's probably coming at it from a person that doesn't have much knowledge in the series to get that. So that might be a great issue to consider then, before belittling this person for the low score, to consider that they have a different perception and less knowledge of the series. And then he isn't happy. So he can wield an anti-matrix of leadership for something, for reasons I don't know. It's because of a balance, the yin-yang, good versus bad. If you're not familiar, the good guys have the matrix. This is sort of upping the ante on the bad guys. Yeah. So anyway, they end with this. I have to stress that this was the Megatron origin issue, and I don't only not know anything about him, but also still don't even know why the two main factions are fighting. Okay, it is not an origin. That was not what this was said. This is giving back issues into the character. This is not crazy. This is not nothing. It's a smart rant, but comes from a point of ignorance, and I mean that in the nicest way. They just don't understand. They don't have enough lore, and that's not necessarily their fault. Maybe the Transformers writers failed to set the scene a little bit more for the new readers, but it definitely does pay some fan service, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. What's yours? What did you think about Transformers? Was there more to it than meets the eye, or was it a fail? We're going to shift gears into something that some people think sucks, and that's DC vs. Vampires World War V, number 8. Whew, we're up to World War V. Whew. Very positive score, though. 96 ratings, a 4.2 on League of Comics Geeks, and I gave it a 7.2. Not as high as they did. The writer is Matthew Rosenberg, and artist is Odo Schmidt. Yes, Darkseid is unstoppable. If you remember from last issue, he came in and he's tearing things up. Yes, he is laying siege on the planet, and victory seems to be fading away for both the vampires and the humans at this point. Yeah, but we get some great pages with Alfred's Green Lantern. Yeah, Alfred being really a heroic leader and leading by example. In my opinion, the art could be better in this issue, but I really do like how Alfred shows up and really sets the tone of what it is to be a hero. And before the end of this issue, we're going to get the New Gods. So if there's any New Gods fans out there, they're entering the battle. Yes, and it's an okay story, in my opinion. I enjoy it. I know I'm not necessarily probably the majority for my fans there with that one, but it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts on that book if you don't mind. Next, let's stay green with Green Lantern Corps number 3. 178 ratings, 178 with a 3.8 score on League of Comics Geeks, which is pretty darn good. And I gave the book a 7.5. This book also has some alternate covers that are pretty cool and some that are pretty lame, just so you know. The writer's Jeremy Adams and Morgan Hampton, and the penciler is Fernando Parzian, which, I butcher. So anyway, we're going to get more of these large galactic stories, which I think is great. The Sorrow Lantern and his Fractal Soldiers are still continuing to go on the march. We get Razor and Kilowog in this issue, working together, which I think are an interesting pair. I like that. And we have the fate of Thanagar revealed. Yeah, after it's cracked into many pieces during the Civil War, we get something that arises out of that, out of the center. And boy, it's not something I think most of us would have expected. Good art in this issue. Can the Red Lanterns get along with the Green Lanterns long enough to survive? I don't know. Green Lanterns doing everything they can to save them, despite that they're wanting the Green Lanterns to go down. Yeah. And John Stewart's character, his good strength of character, is an inspiration to others, much like I mentioned in the previous issue with Alfred. John Stewart's inspiration of how he's a hero inspires others in this issue, and I think that's well done. John Stewart is one of the great Green Lanterns and deserves to be treated as such. Good characterization, good dialogue, and decent action in this book. I think it's a decent 7.5. Now, you know what? Let's dip into another one that I really appreciated this story, surprisingly, and that's Batman and Robin number 20. 156 ratings with a 4.2, very positive score, and I gave this book an 8.5. Just so you know, that's higher than most of the time. Most of the time, mine are in 7s because that's 7 is average. We fall out of the bell curve, you're going to see less of this one, and not a whole lot in the 8.5 in the last couple of years because, well, I just don't think the comic book writing has been that great the last couple of years. The writer's Philip Kennedy Johnson. Good job in this one. Artist Miguel Mendonça and Hugo Pertus and Duamba. Please look those up on your own because I didn't do them any justice. So we have another Batman and Robin story here. Damian has been kidnapped, and his father will stop at nothing to get him back. He's calling in all the Batman people. Yep, we're going to get Jason Todd, we're going to get Nightwing, and a whole bunch of others, though they're not in this issue very much. But with Memento's hallucination concoctions, it is really messing up Batman. Mentally, he is just a mess. And so he's still trying to be Batman, showing his detective work, but he's struggling because of all that stuff I think is getting in his way. He's seeing Alfred, even though he's not really there. But this book is really good. As a father, I appreciate this issue. I liked the bond. They start with telling a story about a father and son and their relationships, and the son really looking up to their father and wanting to spend time, and the father, Batman's father, Bruce's father, messes up and misses out on an opportunity. Later on, he realizes that. Even though the son said it didn't bother him, wasn't an issue, he realized that's not true, because they were supposed to make paper boats, and he was supposed to do that with them, and work became work, and that happens as a father. And he forgot about it, though. Eventually forgot about it, never had that time with his son, until later when he's seen the paper boats in the trash. And then he realized, oh, there's more to it than this. And anyway, so he made up to it with him. But that's just a start of that. Because then we're going to get a similar glimpse with Damian and his father, Batman. As Batman is doing research, he finds Damian's work, his comic book he writes, and he gets some additional insight that, well, Damian has, has some growth here, a lot of growth, actually. That the hero life may not be for him. That maybe he should be a doctor. Now, this I think is interesting because we get the dynamics of the parent and son here. And I think that's great. I think people, even they're not Damian fans. I'm not a Damian fan, though I have to say he's grown on me over the years to not hate the character. This might actually make you really like the character. We've added a whole new layer to him. He's no longer the I'm just going to kill everything kind of person. It's a really well-written issue with good characterization. It may actually make you enjoy and like Damian. So I think that deserves a lot. That's how I gave this book an 8.5, because I think it did a really amazing job. Speaking of amazing, let's end this on The Amazing Spider-Man #1, where we're rebooting the series again because, the last one drove sales to the toilet. And you could tell by looking at the ratings dropped so low. I mean, Spider-Man was getting like 700 to 1,000 people rating it on League of Comics Geeks with regularity, and it dropped to like 100 and something to 200. People just weren't digging that direction of Spider-Man, myself included. And if that many does, you think about it, proportionally, that means the sales most likely dropped off. I can't guarantee it, but why else would they reboot it with a new #1 rather than just keeping it as well? I think they did so much damage they felt they had to by using a #1 to bring readers back to check it out and hope that they stick with it. And they might have something here, because the book had 765 ratings with a 3.7 score. Now, I gave it a 7.4. I'm not so optimistic, though. But we'll see. The writer's Joe Kelly, and the artist is Pepe Larraz. And anyway, says alive and thwipping, the next era of the Amazing Spider-Man's arrived. Yes, let's wash that other crap away. Peter is shockingly without a job. Well, he gets a job in this issue. He gains employment from a friend that we've never seen before, so they're introducing a new character that, well, might not be the best influence on him. On Peter Parker, but it is what it is. And we get a rampaging Rhino. Yes, he's the introductory battle there to give a little action in the issue there. But what it is there's something happened to Rhino. What happened to him? Why did he go crazy in the streets? And Peter on his first day has to take off to do that, thinking he's going to get fired, but his friend managed, well, his sort of friend, past school acquaintance, managed to save his job. Yeah. So what villain is lurking behind the scenes here? I recommend reading it, checking it out. I think we're building up to something here. Also, we get a little more insight into Norman Osborn and what his next things are that he's doing. He's still fighting to be good and to make up for the sins that he's done. So we have a new story. And I'm going to be optimistic in a way. I hope it's better than the last one, because the last few have been terrible garbage for Spider-Man. Though I'm not going to hold my breath because, well, Marvel's been notoriously horrible with the direction of Spider-Man. Peter has been through enough too as well. Why do we though? And here's an issue I do have with this. This is a common writer trope with Spider-Man. They all paint him as a loser. I'm sorry, Spider-Man's a good guy. He goes to these interviews and he's just tanking these interviews. I understand some of the animosity against him instantly, but Peter is a smart guy. There's no reason he should be so dumbfounded for these interviews. That's ridiculous. They love to paint Peter as a loser, and I don't think that's right. I mean, the guy's handling everything he does is doing pretty well considering. And so Peter gets a job, and here's the thing, it's at the Rand Enterprises. So does that mean we're gonna get, some Danny Rand Iron Fist? Now I know some of you going, he's not Iron Fist. We know he is Iron Fist. Screw the other guy. He's the real Iron Fist. Okay, hopefully we get some Danny Rand in this. I think he'd be a great character in the Spider-Man series. Would you like to see some Danny Rand? And so with that, we don't ever see him in this issue, though. We do get some action. We get a lot of story building. And so this book's off to a decent start. So if you're a Spider-Man fan, it might be okay to try it, but I can't guarantee it's going to end well or continue to be well. Only time will tell. But it is what it is. Well, thank you, everybody, for spending time with me here today. I hope you have a great day. Spread some joy to others. I know right now everybody's at each other's throats and differences, opinions and things. But remember this, we're all human. Right? We can have different viewpoints on things and still talk at the comic shop and enjoy each other's company. All right, everyone, take care until next time. Keep it frugal.